Your kitchen is making you sick. Not because of what you're eating, because of how you're preparing it, how you're storing it, how you're cooking it, and how you've been doing all three since the day you first learned to feed yourself. There are 7 things happening in your kitchen right now. Habits so normal, so embedded, so automatic, that you have never once questioned them. But in China, a culture that has treated the kitchen as the foundation of health for over 2,000 years, these same habits are considered not just wrong, but genuinely harmful. The kind of harmful that doesn't announce itself, the kind that builds silently over years, over decades, until the damage has already been done. Habit 2 is something you probably did this morning and believed it was healthy. Habit 5 involves a tool sitting on your counter that Chinese families refuse to trust with their food. And habit 7, that one isn't a single mistake. It's the philosophy behind every mistake that came before it. What if the reason you feel bloated after meals, tired in the afternoon, or just generally heavier than you think you should be, has nothing to do with your diet, and everything to do with what's happening in the room where your diet begins? In traditional Chinese medicine, there's a foundational concept called shi liao, which translates to food as therapy, not food as fuel, not food as calories, food as medicine. And in Chinese culture, if food is medicine, then the kitchen is the pharmacy. Every decision made in that space, how ingredients are stored, how they're cut, how they're cooked, how they're served, either heals the body or quietly poisons it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 7 kitchen habits are working against your health, why Chinese families eliminated them generations ago, and what to do instead, starting with your very next meal. None of this requires new equipment, none of it costs money, and the first change takes less than 30 seconds. Here at the China Habits, if even one of these changes how you think about your kitchen, tell me which one in the comments. I read every single one. In Western culture, the kitchen is designed for convenience. Speed is rewarded. Shortcuts are celebrated. Appliances exist to reduce time. Meal preparation is treated as a task to be completed as efficiently as possible, something that stands between you and the rest of your day. In Chinese culture, this approach is seen as fundamentally dangerous. Not because efficiency is wrong, but because when you optimize for speed, you stop paying attention. And in a kitchen, the moment you stop paying attention is the moment your health starts paying the price. Chinese culinary philosophy, refined over millennia across dynasties, through famines, plagues, and public health crises, treats every kitchen decision as a health decision. The temperature of the water you drink, the surface on which you cut your vegetables, whether your food was cooked this morning or reheated from 3 days ago. None of these are small details. In Chinese culture, these are the details that determine whether your kitchen is nourishing you or slowly breaking you down. The CDC estimates that 48 million Americans, nearly 1 in 6, suffer from a foodborne illness every year. 128,000 are hospitalized. 3,000 die. Not from exotic diseases, not from contaminated imports, from their own kitchens, from habits they never questioned. Chinese culture questioned them centuries ago, and the answers they found are the 7 habits you are about to hear. Habit 1. Using one cutting board for everything. In most Western kitchens, there's a single cutting board, one surface. Everything gets cut on it. The chicken breast, the onion, The tomatoes for the salad. Maybe you rinse it between uses. Maybe you don't. Maybe you flip it over. In a Chinese kitchen, this would be considered reckless. Chinese families, particularly those trained in traditional cooking, maintain separate cutting boards, one for raw meat and seafood, one for cooked food and vegetables. Some households go further, a third board for fruit. These boards are often color-coded or made of different materials entirely, so there's no possibility of confusion. The reason is cross-contamination, the invisible transfer of bacteria from raw animal protein to foods that will be eaten without further cooking. Salmonella, Campylobacter, E. coli. These pathogens survive on cutting board surfaces even after a quick rinse with water. A thorough scrub with hot soapy water reduces the risk, but the only way to eliminate it is separation. The U.S. Department of Agriculture and the CDC both explicitly recommend using separate cutting boards for raw meat and produce, advice that mirrors what Chinese kitchens have practiced for generations. According to the CDC, cross-contamination is one of the leading causes of the 48 million annual foodborne illness cases in the United States. This is not a matter of preference. This is a matter of microbiology. Today, designate one board in your kitchen for raw meat only. Mark it. Separate it. Never let it touch what goes directly into your mouth. The shift. A cutting board doesn't just hold your food, it holds whatever was on it before. And if you can't remember what that was, your body will remember for you. Habit 2. Eating raw, cold salads as a health food. This is the one that shocks Chinese people the most. Because in the West, salad is considered the healthiest thing you can eat. It's the default diet food. The go-to lunch, the thing you order when you're trying to be good. In Chinese culture, a raw cold salad is considered one of the worst things you can do to your digestive system. Traditional Chinese medicine views digestion as a process of internal cooking. The spleen and stomach, the organs responsible for transforming food into qi, vital energy, require warmth and steady energy to function. Raw, cold foods demand that your body generate extra heat just to break them down. Over time, this drains what TCM calls the spleen qi, the digestive fire that powers your entire metabolism. When spleen qi weakens, the body struggles to transform food efficiently. The result, according to TCM practitioners, is what's called dampness, a condition that manifests as bloating, fatigue, water retention, sluggish digestion, brain fog, and, critically, stubborn weight gain around the midsection. As TCM practitioner Dr. Attilio D'Alberto explains, raw salads can damage the spleen and impair digestion, especially in individuals who already experience cold constitutions or weak digestive function. The Western assumption that raw equals healthier ignores the energetic cost of processing that raw food internally. And Western science is beginning to acknowledge this nuance. A 2017 study by Li et al., published in the Journal of Food Science and Biotechnology, found that certain cooking methods, particularly steaming and light stir-frying, actually increase the bioavailability of key nutrients in vegetables compared to eating them raw. Cooking didn't destroy the nutrition. It unlocked it. Chinese families eat cooked vegetables, lightly stir-fried, steamed, or blanched, at nearly every meal. The food is warm, the nutrients are accessible, the digestive system doesn't have to fight to extract them. Tomorrow, replace one raw salad with lightly steamed or stir-fried vegetables. Same ingredients, same nutrients, warmer delivery. Notice how differently your stomach feels by evening. The shift. In the West, raw food is considered natural. In China, cooked food is considered intelligent, because your body shouldn't have to work harder just because your kitchen didn't. Habit 3. Reusing cooking oil. This is the silent one, the one nobody talks about because it looks so harmless. In many Western kitchens, and particularly in commercial Western food preparation, cooking oil is used, cooled, strained, and reused. Sometimes 2 or 3 times, sometimes more. The logic is simple. The oil still looks clear, it still smells fine, so why waste it? Chinese kitchen culture takes the opposite position. Traditional Chinese cooking, particularly wok-based stir-frying, uses small amounts of fresh oil for each dish. The oil is heated to high temperature, used once at peak quality, and not recycled. The philosophy is straightforward. Oil that has been heated has already changed. It is not the same substance it was before the flame touched it. And the science behind this is alarming. A comprehensive review by Ganasan et al., published in the journal Critical Reviews in Food Science and Nutrition in 2019, analyzed the health effects of repeatedly heated cooking oils. They found that reheated oil generates a cascade of toxic compounds, including aldehydes, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and acrolein, that are classified as genotoxic, mutagenic, and carcinogenic. The review linked regular consumption of reheated cooking oil to increased risk of colorectal, breast, prostate, and lung cancers. The oil didn't look toxic, it didn't smell toxic, but chemically, it had become something your body was never designed to process. Check your kitchen tonight. If there's a container of cooking oil that's been used, cooled, and saved for reuse, discard it. Use fresh oil, small amounts, one use. That is the standard Chinese kitchens have maintained for generations, and the science now shows why. The shift. The most dangerous things in your kitchen are never the things that look dangerous. They're the things that look perfectly fine, because that's how they survive long enough to do the damage. Habit 4. Drinking ice-cold water while eating. Walk into any American restaurant. Before the menu arrives, a glass of ice water appears, filled to the brim, condensation running down the sides, so cold it numbs your fingers. In China, this ritual is met with something between disbelief and concern. Traditional Chinese medicine has maintained for over 2,000 years that the stomach requires warmth to digest food effectively. The concept is called weihuo, yihuo, the stomach fire. This digestive warmth breaks food down, extracts nutrients, and distributes energy throughout the body. When you pour ice-cold water into a stomach that is actively trying to digest a meal, you extinguish that fire. Digestion slows, food sits longer, and the body, struggling to process what it can't efficiently break down, stores what it should be burning. A 2019 study by Fujihira et al. At Kyorin University, published in the journal Nutrients, confirmed that consuming water at 2 degrees Celsius, near ice temperature, significantly altered gastric motility and slowed gastric emptying in healthy subjects compared to warm water. The stomach's mechanical processing, the contractions that churn and break down food, was measurably impaired. Chinese families drink warm water, warm tea, or warm soup with meals, never cold, never iced. This is so deeply embedded in Chinese culture that the Patriotic Health Campaign of 1952 codified warm boiled water as a national public health standard, and it remains the cultural default to this day. At your next meal, skip the ice water. Pour yourself a glass of warm water instead. Not hot, not cold, warm. Let your stomach do what it was designed to do, without making it fight through a wall of ice first. The shift. You wouldn't put ice on a fire and expect it to keep burning. But that is exactly what you're doing to your digestive system. 3 times a day, every single day, and then wondering why you feel heavy after meals. Stay with me for the last 3, because from here, the habits get less obvious and more deeply embedded. These are the ones most people will resist hearing, which is exactly why they need to hear them. If this is already making you rethink your kitchen, hit the like button. It helps the China Habits reach more people who need to see this. Habit 5. Relying on the microwave for reheating meals. This habit connects to something fundamental in Chinese food culture, the belief that food is alive, and that every time you reheat it, you kill it a little more. In Chinese households, meals are prepared fresh, not meal prepped on Sunday for the entire week, not batch cooked and frozen in containers, prepared that day, eaten that day. Chinese markets, the wet markets, the morning vegetable vendors, the neighborhood stalls, exist specifically to support this rhythm. Families shop daily. Ingredients arrive fresh. Meals are cooked close to the moment they're consumed. The microwave, that icon of Western kitchen convenience, is viewed with deep suspicion in many Chinese households, not because of radiation myths, but because of what it represents: a willingness to sacrifice the freshness and integrity of food in exchange for speed. And the nutritional concern isn't unfounded. While microwaving can sometimes preserve nutrients better than boiling, the real issue in Chinese food philosophy isn't the appliance itself, it's the pattern it enables. When you own a microwave, you cook once and eat many times. Food sits in the refrigerator for 3, 4, 5 days. Each reheating cycle degrades texture, alters flavor, and, depending on the container, introduces chemical compounds from heated plastics into the food. Chinese kitchens don't reject technology. They reject the philosophy that yesterday's food is just as good as today's. Because in TCM, freshly prepared food carries the strongest qi, the most vital energy. Food that has been stored and reheated is considered qi-si, energetically dead. It may still fill your stomach, but it no longer nourishes your body the way living food was meant to. This week, cook one meal entirely from scratch on the day you eat it, just one. Notice the difference in how you feel compared to reheated leftovers. The shift. The microwave doesn't just reheat your food, it reheats your willingness to accept something less than what your body actually needs. And over years, that willingness costs more than you realize. Habit 6. Ignoring kitchen ventilation while cooking. This is the invisible habit, the one that damages you without ever touching your plate. In most Western homes, the range hood is decorative. It's there because the kitchen was built with one, not because anyone regularly turns it on. Many people cook, frying, searing, sautéing, with no ventilation at all. The kitchen fills with smoke. The windows stay shut. The oil particles drift into the living room, settle on surfaces, and are inhaled without a second thought. In Chinese kitchens, ventilation is treated as non-negotiable. The range hood is turned on before the wok is heated. Windows are opened during and after cooking. Proper airflow is considered as essential to the cooking process as the ingredients themselves. And the reason is not just comfort, it's survival. Chinese cooking, particularly high-heat wok stir-frying, generates significant amounts of cooking oil fumes. A 2021 study by Xiang et al., published in the journal Environment International, found that residential cooking, especially methods involving oil at high temperatures, produces PM 2.5 concentrations that can spike to levels comparable to heavy outdoor air pollution. These fine particulate matter particles penetrate deep into the lungs and enter the bloodstream. A separate study published in ACS Environmental Science and Technology in 2025 found that without ventilation, PM 2.5 concentrations during stir-frying in Chinese urban homes would increase by approximately 90%. Using a range hood reduced personal PM 2.5 exposure by up to 95%. Chinese culture learned this through generations of wok cooking in enclosed spaces. The ventilation habit wasn't borrowed from a study. The study confirmed what Chinese cooks already knew. If you can see smoke in your kitchen, you're breathing damage. Tonight, before you turn on the stove, turn on the hood, open a window, let the air move. Your lungs don't have a filter. Your kitchen does. Use it. The shift. You would never stand over a fire pit and breathe in the smoke deliberately, but every time you cook without ventilation, that is exactly what your kitchen becomes, and you're standing in it for 30 minutes at a time. Habit 7. Treating the kitchen as a place to feed the body instead of heal it. This is the one that holds all 6 habits together, and it is not a single mistake you make in your kitchen. It is the lens through which every mistake becomes possible. In the West, the kitchen serves one function: to produce food that tastes good and fills you up. Success is measured by flavor, convenience, and speed. Did the meal taste good? Was it ready quickly? Did it satisfy your hunger? If all 3 answers are yes, the kitchen did its job. In Chinese culture, the kitchen has an entirely different mandate. The kitchen doesn't just feed the body, it heals it. It prevents illness. It regulates the internal temperature of every person who eats from it. It balances yin and yang through the selection of warming and cooling ingredients. It respects the seasons, lighter meals in summer, richer soups in winter. It protects the spleen qi through warm preparation. It guards the family's health not through medicine cabinets, but through cutting boards. This is the philosophy of Xi Liao, food as therapy. It has been practiced in Chinese civilization for over 2,000 years, documented in ancient texts like the Huangdi Neijing, the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine, which states, "Those who treat disease after it arises are inferior. Those who treat disease before it arises are superior." And in Chinese culture, the primary place where disease is treated before it arises is not the hospital. It is the kitchen. Every habit you heard today, the separate cutting boards, the warm food, the fresh oil, the warm water, the daily cooking, the ventilation, they are not isolated tips. They are the architecture of a kitchen that is designed to heal. Remove any one of them, and the system weakens. Remove all of them, as most Western kitchens have, and the kitchen stops being a pharmacy and becomes a source of slow, invisible harm. You don't have to become a Chinese chef. You don't have to overhaul your entire kitchen by tomorrow. But you do need to change one thing: the way you see the room itself, not as a place to produce meals, as a place to protect the people who eat them. And once that lens shifts, once you start seeing your kitchen not as a factory but as a pharmacy, every decision you make in that room will change. Quietly, permanently, starting tonight. Separate your cutting boards. Raw meat and vegetables never share a surface. Cook your vegetables. Stop forcing your spleen to digest what your kitchen should have already prepared. Fresh oil only. One use. One dish. No recycling what heat has already transformed. Warm water with meals. Protect the stomach fire your body needs to digest properly. Cook fresh. Eat fresh. Stop trusting the microwave more than your own stove. Ventilate every time. If you can see smoke, your lungs are absorbing damage. And above all, stop treating your kitchen as a feeding station. Start treating it as the place where your health begins. One habit. Tonight. That's all it takes. Because small, deliberate corrections, repeated with care, don't just change how you cook, they change how your body responds to everything you feed it. And that is the difference between a kitchen that fills you and a kitchen that heals you. If any of these habits surprised you, if you stood in your kitchen while watching this and noticed the single cutting board, the bottle of reused oil, the cold glass of water beside the stove, you are not alone. And this is not your fault. You inherited these habits from a culture that optimized the kitchen for convenience instead of health. Nobody told you there was another way. Nobody taught you that the room where you feed your family could also be the room that protects them. But now you know, and knowing changes everything, because you can't unsee what you've just seen. The next time you reach for that ice water during dinner, you'll hesitate. The next time you rinse the cutting board and flip it over, you'll think twice. And that hesitation, that second thought, that is where change lives. If someone came to mind while you watched this, someone specific, someone who cooks the way you used to cook 5 minutes ago, someone whose kitchen you've been inside, send them this video, not as criticism, as care. Because sometimes the most important gift you can give someone is a perspective they never had. Tell me in the comments, which habit are you changing first? And which one shocked you the most? I want to know. And if you're new to the China habits and this felt like something you needed to hear, subscribe. There's more like this coming every single week. Take care of yourself. This is the China Habits. I'll see you in the next one.